Hi class, Mrs. Baker speaking with you, and we are now ready to begin Cheese Chase. Mini games let the player use the keyboard to be able to control the action. In Cheese Chase, the player will use the arrow keys on the keyboard to move Mimi the mouse around the stage. Start by creating a keyboard control script for Mimi. So, we are in a new project, and we're going to just go step by step. Some of them I will be combining them as I go. I'm trying to stay and be able to tell you which step I'm on so that you can double check as you're going. But remember, like we've already talked about in class, we really need to make sure that we're reading through the entire description of the rule basically first and then doing the action, not just looking at all the pictures. Okay. Step 1. Start, scratch, and choose new project, which we've already done. Delete the cat by right-clicking and selecting delete. If you're using a Mac computer, instead of right-clicking, you can hold down the control key and then click. From the very first game, I was unable to use the delete button very well. Your Chromebook, you will be able to do it just fine. So again, use a 2-click like I showed you, holding with one finger and then clicking again. And we need to delete the cat that you see, and we will be making a new sprite, which will be mouse 1. Let's go ahead and do that. Once you have the cat deleted, remember we want to make a new sprite. We want to find a mouse. Remember, you can sort by category or theme. Theme usually makes it a little bit smaller of a, I guess, of a whole that you're looking at. So I'm going to find, well, I guess maybe I can't really find animals. I'll go up to categories and find animals, and I should be able to find my mouse going in alphabetical order. There we go. Select your mouse, click OK, and we now have a new sprite added to our stage. We first need to add a script to the mouse so that the mouse can move around the stage using the up key. To find different colored blocks, remember we're clicking on the different options in the scripts tab. Again, we'll be using a lot of motion, control, events, some sensing, some looks, and then every once in a while we'll use sound. Data, remember, is used to control the score and how you can tally up certain score, or things can be taken away if you hit something that you're not supposed to. So, looking at step 3, read through the script carefully, thinking about what it does, run the script to make sure that it actually works like it is supposed to, and then when you are done, you should be able to move the mouse up the stage and then using your up arrow. Let's go ahead and make the script that you see down at the bottom of step 3. Again, make sure as you are creating this that it has a lot of forevers or if then. Always make sure that you have the correct loop block so that you do not have the wrong one, because that can be the difference in having something correctly done versus having a mistake. And if you're having trouble finding one of the blocks, remember, first use color. It's nice that they have it by color so that you can sort it by maybe 2 different scripts instead of the whole 9 that you do see or the whole 10 that you see. But otherwise, raise your hand if you are really having trouble finding, and I will be around to help you. Remember, when you have to change the numbers, you can double click in the area, insert your number, and then click tab to go through all of them. But there were only 2 in this case, so we should be fine. And then always make sure that when you have something that you need to click on, you have the correct location that they want you to go. Okay, so I'm going to run my script. I should be able to use my up arrow so that Mimi goes up. And I'm pressing my up arrow. When I press my other arrows, nothing happens, but when I do press up, she does move, and that was the goal. Put her back down. Step 4. To make the other arrow keys work, you're going to add the same 3 if-then blocks for each one. To move right, select the right arrow key, set the direction to 90. For down, you set it to 180. For left, you set it to -90. Read through the finished script to make sure that you understand it, and then go ahead and create. So basically, we are changing what's in this light blue sensing block, and that's where you change it to whichever arrow that you're changing it to. The point in direction, think about it like a clock. If we are going up, we're at 0. If we go to the right, it would be 90, so that would be like going to 3 o'clock. Down would be 6 o'clock or 180, and then left, we'd have to go backwards, so it would be -90. Okay. Let's go ahead and create those other 3, and remember, you are adding them exactly onto this section right here. So, and what I think is easiest to do, so that I don't have to find each and every single one of these all the time, I should be able to, maybe I can't. Okay, right here. I can duplicate this. Oops. Maybe I can't do the whole thing. Should be able to duplicate everything. There we go. So there's one. I'm going to duplicate it again. And duplicate it again. Extra, push back in here. So now I'm going to, these go right underneath where the if-then block is. So right here, and right here. This just saves you some time so you're not having to, just like what it says, you don't have to repeat the steps that you're taking. This little button right here is duplicate. Go ahead and duplicate it. And then this is where we have to change all of our settings. So we start with our up, 0, 5 steps. The next one is going to be going to the down arrow, 90, and 5 steps as well. The next one will be going to the right. Right matches up with, with 90, 5 steps. And the left arrow, remember your negative sign, 90, and 5. So now I have my whole script done. I'm going to click on my green button, and I'm going to click each arrow so that I can make sure that it is working correctly. So here's my up arrow. Yep, that one's working. I'm going to go back down. Uh-oh. To the side, to the left. My down arrow does not work, so I'm going to go check. I was supposed to put 190 or 180 in. I'm sorry. Now when I run it, there's my down, my left, my right, and my up. So that does work now. Good. When you click the green flag, you should run the script. You should be able to move the keys like I just said. I was not thinking, and I skipped the numbers that I was supposed to. So again, just double checking. That's what you have your partner for, making sure that they're reading the correct numbers to you and match them up with whichever arrow key you are supposed to use. Okay. Now, for the next step, this is going to be something very new. So instead of going to the next step and actually doing it, I'm just going to show you around, and then in the next video we will actually get started with that. So with Cheese Chase, we have the mouse that is very hungry and there's no cheese. So she's trying to find cheese for herself. So we are going to actually create our own sprite, and we will do this through the paintbrush editor. Okay? When we do that, and this all you need to do is just look at your book, and I will show you on the computer what you're doing. But, oops, I shouldn't be there. But this, I'm just showing you the tools that you need to use. That way you understand what to do. So the paintbrush editor, you want to click on this little paintbrush here in the sprites area. Okay, and this is where you create your sprite. Okay, so think of the paintbrush application that we have on the computers where you can draw your name, you can draw a diamond, circle, square, whatever. And we are going to create a block of cheese from this. Okay, just to go over the tools, this one is your paintbrush tool, so if you're painting something, This is our line tool, and this creates straight lines so that you don't have to use a straight hand basically. It'd be like using a ruler. Rectangle, circle. If we want to add text, which we will eventually, we can use this to double click in somewhere and add text. Fill in a whole color. Now this you always have to make sure when you're filling in color that you have all of your points neat so that there's no space left, otherwise it will not color it in. Eraser. Select something, so moving something around, removing a backdrop, and select and duplicate. Okay, here's your color palette down here. They will talk about making your line width bigger, smaller, and that is over in this area. You notice how you have a small, almost like a ruler with a little like scale kind of on it. When you move this to the right, look how much bigger your line gets. When you move it back to the left, it becomes a thin line. So just depending on, I know for the maze we'll be using a thicker line. For the cheese though, we'll be using a pretty thin line since it's going to be a sprite that is used commonly throughout the game. Other than that, we always just need to make sure that if it says that we need to be in bitmap mode, we're in there, otherwise we're in vector mode. And vector is just a little bit different. We use bit mode or bitmap mode for the most part. So that's just a quick overview of Paintbrush Editor. In the next video we will get started with step 6 and creating our block of cheese.